Hello, it's time for some monsters. That's not the best key for me, honestly, but I think I got there. I wouldn't call it an apocalypse key though. Ba-dum-bum. An apocalypse key for me would be like somewhere right in my break range, like when I was on semester at sea and tried to do karaoke, tried to sing "In the Name of Love," and that song is exactly in my range. Does not exist here. I struggled through that one, but it's kind of a fun memory because it was intense, and instead of giving up, I just kept going. So that is all there. Behold, it's the Apocalypse Keys Roll20 materials. So this game, Apocalypse Keys, is on Kickstarter right now. You should be able to see information about that on the stream because I made a command. There we are. So this is a Powered by the Apocalypse role-playing game by Rae Nedjadi, who has done a bunch of other cool games, and I really like their design style. And it is being published by Evil Hat Productions, which puts out very good books that I like. And it just started on Kickstarter yesterday. It is running for 28 days total, so 27 days left, and it is funded and has already racked up a couple of stretch goals, which is very cool because I'm excited about this game. It cites as inspiration and influence Hellboy, as well as a few other things. Let me see, can I read me? No, I want bigger read me. Okay. Are you gonna tell me cats? Oh yes, cats is this thing. Okay. Tone, subject matter. Don't you have touchstones in here somewhere? I thought that they were in here somewhere. Maybe not. That's fine. It's all good. Hello, the kids are asleep. Yes, at first I thought, let me read through this material on stream because it will be fun to poke at it with people. And then Brandon kind of waved the game jam in front of me, and I said, ooh, could I do something for the game jam? But I wanted to start by looking at this stuff because I think it will give me some inspiration. So who knows how much of the stream is going to be looking at the Roll20 and how much of it's going to be me trying to dive into some kind of game design. We'll find out. We play to find out what happens. Stream to find out what happens. I guess you're playing. I'm also playing. Yeah, hanging out is good as well. So here's some flavor text. The end is nigh. Welcome to the apocalypse. As Omen class monsters and agents of the Division, in all caps, you are one of the few things that remain to protect this world. Can you grasp the keys of the apocalypse and reach the ancient door of power before the Harbinger can? Harbinger. I'm gonna go with a J for that G. Harbinger. Harbinger doesn't sound good to me. We play to find out. That's right. That's PbtA lingo. I guess it's story games lingo. I'm not as strong on the overlap of what people are calling story games in TTRPGs and TTRPG related things now, and PbtA. At what point was there like that transition? I would guess that Vincent and McGay Baker have done interviews about this, and I just haven't read or watched those interviews since they are the designers of Powered by the Apocalypse World, which created the Powered by the Apocalypse framework. So, yeah, this is a quick start. I think having a quick start of the RPG that you're trying to crowdfund is a really smart idea because it gives people a good chunk of material to go and investigate, including vibes. Vibes are very important for a lot of RPG people, myself included. Check out this cool art of The Last, a lonely monster from another world who is the last of their kind. Their power is reflective, sorrowful, and hopeful. Their themes are the inescapable nature of grief, the trauma of loss, and the driving fear of repeating tragedy. So yeah, like, as you may be able to tell from this, the vibes of this game are like fairly intense, maybe some melodrama, probably some trauma stuff. So if that's not, if you don't want to be thinking about those today, then that's cool. Maybe this is not the stream to hang out on, and that's fine because there are many things. But for folks that are into this vibe, I'm excited to look at some more things. So we're going to go back to start, README. So this is all in Roll20, which is very handy because that's the virtual tabletop program that I'm familiar with. A number of people have been speaking very highly of Foundry lately, but I have not spent the time to look into it and try to figure out whether it's for me. So here's what we have. Safety tools, which is great. Core rules, the keeper moves, which is like GM stuff, and the first door mystery. So this is a scenario. I don't know how much of the scenario I'm going to look at because there might be some people who want to play it or run it. If all of the people that I want to play TTRPGs with just had totally open schedules and we were all like independently wealthy, or making RPG content was our full-time job together, then I would say like, hey, strange friends, let's play the first door like right now. But we all have various obligations that makes that difficult. So I will do what I can. So if we're going to play, we would go over the cats document, and we're going to look at what they mean by cats, because I think it's fun. This is even the Medicis had to waste time on assassinations and arranged marriages. Can we put... I'm trying to figure out, Valerie, where we put that on the speculate page as a quote. Maybe it goes on the Patreon page. Anyway. So CATS is concept, aim, tone, and subject matter, which I think is a really fun one acronym. It's a cool way of conceptualizing the content and safety elements of like session 0 conversations all in one framework. And that's pretty cool. Because you talk about this stuff and then you can calibrate your safety tools based on this material that you've already talked about, instead of calibrating safety tools in a vacuum, which I think it becomes much more difficult, because if someone is like, how do you feel about blood in your game? And someone was like, well, I don't know, maybe. If we talked about how, like, we're going to have a blood god who something, that gives people a lot clearer of a sense of what we mean by what if this game has blood in it? Or how do we feel about blood being something that's common or frequent in this game? So go over safety tools, create basically choose a pre-gen character or make your own character, and then start the mystery. So we won't get to do this part unless Valerie wants to do a one-on-one RPG at the drop of a hat for the next 3 hours, which I did not ask ahead of time and would be very silly. Or, you know, somebody else's. Working. It'd be very funny if one by one all of the strange friends came into chat and we just rolled straight into doing this as a one-shot. That's unlikely because it's very much the middle of the night for Iori. And Yoi, at least, is almost certainly at a capitalism because day jobs. Yeah. It's like, what if the internet actual play version of one friend comes over to your house just at random to hang out, and then over the next hour, 3 more of your friends come over, and then suddenly you're all playing an RPG. Oh, to live that life. The people I love most in this world, who are not Meg and Oreo, all mostly live between hundreds and thousands of miles away from me. Like I have friends in Baltimore, but I have many years worth of friends that are elsewhere in the world. Life is very rude like that. One of the things that would come about from becoming independently wealthy as a creator is that ability to collapse the distance between people, either through being able to travel or by getting everybody into like the same city. Like one of the things about groups like Critical Role or Glass Cannon is that like the principals all live in the same city or close enough so that like they have an in-person studio. Or a group like Rivals of Waterdeep, where they do live recordings in Chicago. I don't know if they're still doing that right now. I'm not super current with Rivals of Waterdeep. I know that they just keep going on and are amazing. So that's kind of the level of awareness that I maintain. So Roll20 elements. This part is going to be more useful if I was actually using this. So you get instructions on character sheets, which is great for usability. I'm just going to jump to the cats section. So this is not the musical that had the very scary live action adaptation. This is in fact content, aim, tone, and subject matter. I'm just gonna... Okay. Excuse me. So again, content notes. Some concepts lean into experiences that may find parallel with racism and marginalization. You are encouraged to change aspects of the game to improve your enjoyment of the game, but it's also okay not to play this game. This is something like when a designer has a specific intent and wants to bring or foreground a marginalization or a metaphor in a game, I think that can be very powerful. It's good then to also communicate, hey, this game may get really heavy with regards to X. Not that people shouldn't make stuff that has this content, but it's good to be upfront about it so that then people can advocate for the experiences that are going to be better for them and know that they're going for like comfortable uncomfortableness, where they have signed up and affirmatively consented to, okay, cool, we're going to investigate stuff that's very uncomfortable, but we're going to all have each other's backs and try to make this an experience that is about confronting or investigating stuff that's difficult instead of just replicating horribleness onto ourselves to screw with our mental and emotional health, which is not great. So the apocalypse is nigh, and to fight monsters, we must be not monsters. Can I just use this to play Pacific Rim? Rae Nedjadi, you're an amazing composer. And that movie is good. I don't care. I will fight anyone in a giant robot. So, thematics. Emotional connection, complicated relationships, unpredictable mysteries, larger-than-life apocalyptic threats, apocalyptical, and the brightest hope in the darkest despair. This is some hope punk shit if ever I saw it, IMO. Or that's how I would play this. You are monsters bound by fate, love, and power. This feels incredibly a Mike gets down with melodrama kind of game of just like everything is the most. Just swing the hardest you possibly can, which is fun. My understanding of this game is that it's probably best set up as a mini-series kind of game, though I don't know, like, could you do three sets of 3-episode mini arcs? Like if you were, could you do something that's less Hellboy the movie or Hellboy 2 and more like the BPRD comics where they have smaller adventures that then all fit together? Part of that I think is going to come from the keeper moves and the mystery stuff. Thinking about like, ooh, would I want to do this as an actual play series? I would probably, based on what I've understand so far, set Apocalypse Keys up as a mini series where it's very much a burn bright and hit a big climax and then be done kind of a game. Escalate, have the characters kind of get close to where they would be like fulfilling their dooms, and then just have a big explosive final episode without any certainty about where that ends, and then go, cool, we did it. And then if there's demand, do another series, maybe with the same characters, maybe with new characters, depending on like how far along the path toward like retirement the characters have gotten. In a lot of PbtA games, the way that progression works is you reach a point at which the characters have kind of done all they can do. In my experience, PbtA games tend to feel like they are built for campaigns that are somewhere in the like 8 to 10 to 12 session range, but that absolutely varies. You know, it's going to vary based on how the XP triggers work and what people want out of games and things like that. So thematically, the game focuses on forestalling the apocalypse, harbingers of the apocalypse, orchestrate horrors from behind the scenes, covering their tracks and unfolding their plans of terror and destruction. They manipulate monsters and humans to serve their goals and open ancient doors of power. So this doors thing is a big deal. You are all that stands between harbingers and the world, between survival and apocalypse. So this is very like super high stakes. It's all very personal because your characters are omen class monsters who can then become harbingers themselves. Harbingers are the ones that are trying to open the ancient doors of power. And what do you need to open doors? Keys. I mean, usually, if it's locked. So, solving mysteries. You use your powers, gather clues, study signs. The signs are called keys of the apocalypse. So, this is a bit about how the investigation process works here, right? When you're ready to confront the truth, you try to unlock Doom's Door. Doom's Door. I feel like Doom's Door, it would be an English last name in a like satirical like cozy mystery series. Reverend Eustace Doomsdoor. Wrestling with power. You are a monster with great power at your disposal. As an omen, your capacity for destruction and terror far exceeds most other monsters. So this is, it's not that you are a werewolf. You would be like the werewolf or like the wolf prince who is fated to like marry the moon and bring about an eternal night. You're not like a 12th gen caitiff vampire like you might be in some games of Vampire the Masquerade. Not that that's not cool, but yes, BioWare rules. All protagonists are epic. You know, literally, I bet you could probably run a Mass Effect or BioWare-ish game using Apocalypse Keys because of how the characters are set up. And because if I recall correctly, Rae, the designer, is a big BioWare fan, especially Mass Effect. Hello, the Rising Tides. This is your fault. Thank you. The Urwolf, exactly. So cats. I shouldn't close these. I should just do this tab thing when I close things. So let's go back to the middle here. You're wrestling with power. Your power is tied to something humans in the world can never understand. So this is a game at least partially about being set aside, being marginalized, or being kind of regarded as too much, which I think is definitely a theme to draw on if I'm going to be doing something for this jam. And after we look at some of this stuff, we'll go to the page with the write-up of the Apocalypse Keys game jam. Monsters who fight monsters. There are very few like you. So this is, you know, you're not 3 PCs who are a member of one of like 70 teams. You might be the only team in Division that's all Omen class monsters. Division is going to be an analog to something like BPRD or the Men in Black or maybe X-Files or Delta Green. Delta Green, if Delta Green had access to like monster people characters. And your team is going to be BPRD where everybody has powers versus a BPRD team where you've got like one person has telekinesis, one person's a monster, and then 3 people are just humans with no superpowers or wacky fates. Everybody is going to be an Omen class monster. Your power will likely lead to your ruin. So this is a game where everybody really wants to be bought in on the idea that this could be tragic and that the power is very dangerous to use. This is not the type of power fantasy that you might see in some like superhero games where the joy of using the power is like a big part of what's fun about the game. And that, you know, if you're Superman, you can jump and fly and, you know, save a crashing plane of people. You might be able to do that in Apocalypse Keys, but there's going to be some powerful element of tragedy or risk of tragedy built into it, because Apocalypse Keys does a cool thing with the result range. Powered by the Apocalypse games, for me, were the first games where I really saw a non-binary result state for the core mechanic, where like not just like, oh, partial success means X, and I mean you have to roll again, but where you have 7+ is a hit. You do the thing you wanted, or you accomplish some of what you wanted. 10+ is an unmitigated success, and then below 7 is just a failure or complication. And that 7, 8, 9 range being success at a cost or a mixed success is part of what generates what we talk about in Power of the Apocalypse as failing forward, where the fiction always advances. You do a thing and the world pushes back on you. This is how a game, Powered by the Apocalypse games work, such that the GM is never rolling dice, because the player characters are the ones that generate complications. Yeah, yes, but, yes, and. Yeah, right. Our Vanilla Run says, this is good because so far I feel there hasn't been enough intense emotional content in the games you and the strange friends are involved with. So I'm glad you're filling that gap by looking at games about tragedy. Precisely, our Vanilla Run. Hello. I did joke that this stream could magically end up as a Strange Friends one-shot. But that's probably, one, in no way, shape, or form do I expect that to happen. And two, I, in fact, did preface this game as this may not necessarily be less intense when I put it into one of our Discord channels to talk about it. I do think it would still be cool to play with the Strange Friends. We just may want to play something else first. Podfriend, Valerie, where did you get that? It's a global emote? How do I get the Podfriend emote? Do I already have the Podfriend emote? I streamed Elden Ring. They should give me the Podfriend. Podfriend. Hold on. I'm just... Everything has to stop momentarily while I look for this emote. Yes. I'm going to get timed out by Nightbot on my own stream for abusing emotes. This makes me exceptionally happy. Thank you, The Kids Are Asleep, for bringing this to my attention. This is my Apocalypse Keys characters. I'm just going to play a version of Alexander the Iron Fist from Elden Ring, who's a big pot friend. I'm doomed. Because all pots eventually must crack. The question only is, the only question that remains is when and what is within. So that's my character. We'll figure out which character class they are. Which of the playbooks. Yeah, let's go ahead. Well, so aim. Here's a mystery, tone, mystery, horror, and a focus on investigation. So this is a big thing that I think is would be bad to overlook. Yes, pot friend. One might expect a different type of emote where herbal refreshment is involved. So when the focus on investigation, you're getting the keys to unlock the door so that you can avert the doom before the Harbinger gets to it. We will also often look at the emotional state of our characters, as discussed earlier, and their relationships. I'm getting some drop frames, which is curious. Maybe Roll20 is taking up a bunch of resources here. I tried to get more RAM, and I just copied and pasted the full Newegg text from when I bought the RAM for this computer to begin with. And I got the RAM, and then I installed it, and it did not work at all, did not show up, does not exist as far as the computer is concerned. Same brand, it's a different like sub imprint, and I installed them, I pulled it out, I reinstalled them, I switched where the RAM sticks were, and the original sticks worked in the other slots, but then the new ones didn't work in the old slots. So I don't even know. I'm gonna return that RAM, and then I'm gonna, I don't know, complain here on stream. That's what I've done. I've successfully complained. I do want to get more RAM because I have more slots. If I'm going to keep on doing streaming like this, especially if I'm going to be streaming like new, more graphically intense games in a one box setup, I'm going to probably need some more RAM. I still have a pretty good graphics card. I have it's like RTX 2080, which is not top of the line, but still pretty solid. But yeah, RAM, like getting more RAM is a nice thing because it's not super expensive relative to other computer things. And then I was just really bummed when it didn't work. And now I'm somewhat loath to try and like order more. The thing I may end up doing is just literally taking this computer to the place that did the data recovery for me and tell them, hi, I would like more RAM. I would like to buy more RAM from you and pay you to install this RAM and then check to make sure that the RAM works. And then when that's done, you will call me. Thanks. I don't know how that'll work. Or maybe I will call ahead and be like, hey, can you order RAM for me? This is the RAM that I have and this is the system that I have. And then when it gets there, I will bring the computer in and you will install it and then tell me that it works. And I will pay you to do this service in addition to the RAM that I have ordered. Maybe that's what it will take. Like I have some friends in the area who are computer people, and I have other friends who are computer people who I could like Skype in to look at the situation. Yeah, it's the commercial services imperative. I will do this thing. You will order this thing, and then you will install this, and then I will pay you for it. Are these acceptable terms? Yes, I want my computer to function like magic. I'm fine with spending money to make this happen. I don't need to be cheap about it. I just need it to work because I know enough about computers to know that I know basically nothing about computers. It's where you, like, I have the not Dunning-Kruger. Oh yeah, a second PC could absolutely be in my future. But if I can spend $80 plus another $50 on installation to forestall that date by another couple of years, that may be nice. Yeah, second PC is like a console. We may get there. Though, amusingly, the two of the games that I'm thinking about streaming that are kind of in the longer range are Disco Elysium, which will probably be more graphically or resource intense, and Planescape Torment, which is over 20 years old, almost 30 years old. And Arv, I know you streamed that on your channel a couple years ago, and maybe also Disco Elysium. So I've played probably 15 hours of Disco Elysium and want to go back to it. I got started playing Torment, and then I reached a I don't know what to do part, and I just wandered away and never went back to it. Because I did not play it when it first came out, and I'm not a huge fan of that like isometric RPG. I did see a little bit of the Purgatory stream yesterday, Arv. It looked very fun and silly. So yeah, if I play Planescape Torment, I probably will not need fancy computer resources. But if I'm going to get something like Marvel Midnight Suns, which is a like tactical RPG, a la XCOM, but with mutants, because it's made by the people that made these new XCOMs, maybe I will need more resources for my computer, because I think that would be a very fun game to stream with people, especially people who are also Marvel fans, and good because a tactics game is not real time, and so I can like pause, I can just let the game sit and talk instead of needing to be like, focus mode. I'm playing an FPS, and it's very difficult to play an FPS and also be engaging with chat and also talking. I know that's a skill that a lot of people have developed, or that some streamers have developed. I do not believe that I am at that point. Plus, it's fun to be able to talk through the choices that you want to make. Sure, yeah, Destiny streams. Right? That's a lot of dialogue. Arv, in the world where we're all independently wealthy because the Speculate media network is our full-time jobs, I would absolutely love to do the Speculate Presents What the Hell is Going On in Destiny as a podcast series. That would be very fun. I also have somewhere in the category of 2 to 4 RPGs that we could play that are kind of like, what if we played Destiny as a TTRPG? Which could be fun. One of them is more like Anthem than Destiny, but Anthem was great except for the parts that were not great. A lot of Destiny feelings. So, all right. So this is the Speculate production meeting. So instead of a Strange Friends one shot, now we're just pitching one another Speculate segments / series. Womp womp. Okay, so playbooks. Now here's where we're gonna find out which playbook my potboy is. The current season is very like space pirates, I think, and then there's some stuff going on with like a big bad. Hello, D Yellow Flower. What's up? Welcome. Do you love we're pitching each other things to do on Speculate? The shooting and the visuals in Destiny are very good. The story, much more of the story is in the game now compared to playing Destiny 1 or when Destiny 2 first came out. So that's fun. I just honestly have a hard time sticking with like a games as service game / forever game unless my schedule lines up with people who I want to be playing. Cool. Well, thank you for hanging out, D Yellow Flower. And thanks for being here. As a reminder to folks who maybe came in just recently, this is me trying to type while I talk. Apocalypse Keys is a TTRPG currently on Kickstarter to be published by Evil Hat Productions, created by Rae Nedjadi, and it has hit its initial funding goal and a couple or three stretch goals already. It is at $57,642 out of a $30,000 goal with 1,029 backers and 27 days to go, which totally rules. I'm very excited for this game to rack up some cool stretch goals and to make a big impact. Black magic in space. What happens when your heroes are incentivized not to care about their own bodies and the stories that emerges? Yeah. The video gaminess of Destiny 2 I think means that oh, you lost your power and now you're immortal thing that happens at the beginning of Destiny 2 should have been a way bigger deal, but it wasn't done in that same way, because when you play Destiny 2, you are the protagonist, you are the guardian. And so I think we could linger on that a lot more. They definitely did some stuff with it. And thank you very much for the follower, D Yellowflower. Great to have you. So yeah, I think there's also big questions in Destiny of exactly how much are the forces that you're working for / with actually trying to like do good / preserve lives / make people's lives better, versus how much are people believing that the power that they are gaining from certain associations or sources is good because they can do good with it. And I think some of the recent story is investigating that as well. I just haven't stayed current with it. So playbooks. Basically every playbook has like kind of a default imagined arc type of thing, I think, and some of like where they struggle. So the Summoned is a violent monster summoned from another world. Their power is blunt, aggressive, and demanding. Their themes are of violence, to struggle against prophecy, and the overwhelming desire for love. So I think the Summoned is the Hellboy analog, right? Yeah. So here we've got, so now we get into character sheets. So there's 4 pre-made characters. The Marquis is the Summoned, and then we go to bio. We get some look and origin and notes. So this character sheet for Apocalypse Keys has a lot of stuff, and you basically do navigation by collapsing and expanding things. So you get the text and then you can collapse. So you can collapse everything down so that you could see things like here, or you just hide something. I don't know where to unhide things, but that's fine. But then we can unpack things. So Prodigal Child will return. So we've got all these playbooks and things. We're 44 minutes out and I haven't really started looking at playbooks, which is funny because we're just hanging out and chatting, and that's just how things work. So the Surge is a desperate monster barely in control of their power, seeking to share the burden with others. Their power eclipses that of other playbooks. It is explosive, uncontrollable, and alienating. Their themes are the cost of collateral damage and navigating complex and potentially toxic relationships. This to me sounds like Liz, the pyromancer in Hellboy / BPRD. Like cost of collateral damage because pyrokinesis. The Found, a psychic monster who can read hearts and minds but cannot remember their own past. So this is like Abe Sapien, I believe. Their power is inquisitive, emotional, and strange. Their themes are the intimate knowledge of the thoughts and emotions of others and the danger of knowing what's best for someone else. So, a lot of really emotionally focused stuff going on here. What if defeating your enemy's attempts to wield dark power was also an opportunity for therapy? I want the like mockumentary show that is one half like FPS action adventure, one half guardians going to therapy and occasionally looking at the camera, like looking away from their therapist to the camera and talking about things for monologues. That would be very funny. So, the Shade is a cerebral monster who defied death and oblivion. Their power is enlightening, intellectual, and ephemeral. Their themes are cultivating a fraught relationship with death and the price of knowledge. The Last is a lonely monster from another world who's the last of their kind. So that may be what our Pot Boy is. The last Pot Boy. Their power is reflective, sorrowful, and hopeful. Yes, that book rules. I agree, Arvin Elron. The Notebooks of Dr. Brain by Mr. Faust. Yeah, I think the B plot for that novel is not. I was not as blown away by it, but the A plot totally rules. But it's been a long time since I've read that book, so I may have changed my opinion if I go back to it. So their themes are the inescapable nature of grief, the trauma of loss, and the driving fear of repeating tragedy. The Fallen is a charming monster who was once a divine being, so like a fallen angel or a demon or something. Their power is intoxicating, damaged, and deceitful. Their themes are hubris, the double-edged sword of worship, and the destructive desire to regain what was lost. So the nice thing here is that in a game like Apocalypse World or Masks: A New Generation, often the playbooks will have themes, but the books don't necessarily outright tell you, here are the themes for this playbook. You have to do a deeper reading to get a sense of that. The nice thing about making this explicit is that if I'm going to play a game of Apocalypse Keys with some friends and we're doing character creation, I can go, okay, what themes am I interested in playing with for this game? If I picked playbook based on like abilities or something, and then I realized that the thematic core as designed is not something that I'm as excited about, that may make it harder to either shift the thematic axis or arc along which I'm playing this character. It may make that difficult, or it may make enjoying the game difficult because a lot of how that playbook is designed is to thematically and emotionally point this way, when in fact I want to thematically and emotionally push this way. So I think it's a really great idea to put the kind of themes of the playbook as written into these write-ups. So a note on the mystery. Apocalypse Keys is a game of discovery and creation. You will be asked to answer questions by inventing new truths about the world. So this feels like it's the type of game where when you're doing an investigation, the GM doesn't necessarily have to have all of the clues and everything written out ahead of time. The group as co-authors can fill in a lot of the gaps, which I think could be really cool. The Rising Tides, I know that you've played Brindlewood Bay. If I remember correctly, there's some elements like that in Brindlewood Bay, but I'd be curious to hear a little bit more if you feel like talking about your experience with that game. That game would also be a good game for us to talk about for Speculate. Be flexible when new secrets and huge revelations suddenly come into play. Yeah, that makes it feel like it's more improv-y. Apocalypse Keys introduces mechanics for how you explore the mystery, but the truth isn't written in advance. That comes from the ingenuity and cleverness of the players. Great. We are challenged to be imaginative, curious, and open to the process. A game of Apocalypse Keys can quickly go into new and exciting directions, and the game trusts that we can collaborate to tell a great story together. Beautiful. Love it. I'm especially excited about games that are intentionally written to not need a bunch of prep, where the game tells you it's okay to not have to. Sorry, the Rising Tides. I was comparing the mystery system in Apocalypse Keys to Brindlewood Bay. and then noted that you had played Brindlewood Bay. I have not gotten to play in a session, so I was wondering about the overlap and the compare and contrast here. I know from a stream that Rae did yesterday that he was saying that Brindlewood Bay's mystery stuff is an influence, but I'm not sure about all the details. No requirement to weigh in to any specific degree unless you are inclined to do so. Yeah, no prep games are great. Agreed, D Yellowflower. Like, I've been poking at maybe doing some GMing on start playing games, and I would want to do a game where I either didn't have to do a lot of prep, or I could prep I could focus my prep on the stuff that's interesting to me, which is more like Powered by the Apocalypse or Forged in the Dark style prep of preparing situations and factions and characters, versus something like if I were going to run a more traditional 5e D&D game and need to like prep stat blocks and homebrew like monsters and encounters and things like that. I think there's a version of a D&D game that I could run more like I run other things. I would just have to do some work to figure out how to make that work in practice, and I might not debut that in like a paid GMing kind of framework, because that maybe wouldn't necessarily be the greatest idea. I did make a very cool like a logo for such a game in graphic design tools. Yeah, I have a profile on Start Playing Games, and I have a Blades in the Dark game listed. I don't know that I will get anybody for it because I think I may need to run a few games or a couple campaigns at closer to the kind of normative price point to then prove that I am somebody that people are willing to pay a bit more, because if you charge $20 per person per session, but you're running a game for 6 or 7 people, the amount of money that you're getting is very different than if I'm running something like Blades in the Dark, where I would not want more than 4 PCs in a game if I can avoid it. So tables max player count of 4 versus max player count of like 6, 7, 8 that you sometimes get in D&D, that is tricky. And since the overwhelming majority of what's run and played on Start Playing Games is D&D, I think the expectations are pretty tethered to that table size, which is tricky, because then if I'm charging $20 per person per session and I have 3 players, that's $60 for maybe a 3-hour session, which is not a great hourly rate, TBH, even if you're not doing a bunch of prep. But should Mike do professional GMing at Start Playing Games, and how can I do it in such a way that's going to be satisfying to me? Maybe that will be a separate stream. We've already been a couple of streams today, and that's honestly fine, but I think I will stop there. So the Rising Tide says, I love a lot that Brindlewood Bay empowers players to put together the conclusion of that mystery on their own terms, because the summation is the fun part of a mystery, and the wilder the pieces, the better. So I'm eager to see whether this gives players the same feel through an urban fantasy or horror subgenre lens. Yes, like when I first saw Critical Role and that there were 7, maybe 8 PCs at the table, maybe it was just 7 because Ashley Johnson was doing other stuff. 7 PCs is so many. When I played games in like high school, it was my group of like 5, 6, 7 friends. And so 6 PCs maybe, but that was also a long time ago. And now a lot of the games that I play, more of the architecture is oriented toward interpersonal roleplay, character relationship stuff, and 6 characters. So this is like polyamory, right? When you have 2 people, they have one relationship with each other. When you have 3 people, you suddenly have a lot more relationships. You have relationship AB, BC, and AC. GM for 8, yeah. I think I could probably do 5 for like a one-shot of a Forged in the Dark game. 5 on the regular for a Forged game might be tricky, Maybe 5 for PbtA is easier. I think I've only run 3 or 4 players in PbtA games. So the other thing with, and I guess we are doing this segment now. If players are coming into a 5e game knowing that they're going to be one of 6 people, theoretically they're then expecting that they're going to get about 1/6 of the spotlight and about 1/6 of the storyline is going to be tailored to them. The thing that I would pitch for, and I do pitch for in like the Blades game that I ran, and I should make more explicit, is if I'm running a game for 3 or 4 player characters, you are going to get more spotlight. More of the story is going to be tailored to you and your aesthetic interest, and it's going to be so much less likely that you're going to get lost in the shuffle. Thanks for coming by, Arvin Elron. I'll see you around. So if I was running a game for 6 people and we're playing D&D, I would have to adjust how I do stuff, because if I tried to pack in personalized material for 6 people at the rate that I do for 3 or 4, I don't know what would happen. Would it be really cool and everyone would like it, or would it be just too much and people would be unhappy? Hard to say. I think what is more likely is that I'm going to want to redo some of my stuff, offer like, here's a Blades in the Dark one-shot at a lower lower like seat rate, per person rate, and then see if people are interested. Or I'm just going to need to promote it a lot more actively and be okay with the fact that maybe I'm running one campaign at a time and I can fill that and get a better hourly rate, but I'm not going to try to scale it up, because I'm not in a position that I think a lot of people who are GMing on Start Playing Games are, where they would be, what they would like to do is have GMing for Start Playing Games be their whole job. I still want to write books and have writing books be my main thing. But if I could bring in some money doing a thing that I love and that is also still storytelling and is very social, which is good for my mental and emotional health because I'm a people person, then yeah, it'd be great to mix that in, because I already do teaching and I like that. That back there is my own little monster. That's Oreo, for folks who don't know. Writing books, basically GMing for yourself. Yeah, I pitched. I was talking with a writer friend before the pandemic, who was talking about having difficulty kind of getting the plot going. And the pitch that I suggested is, oh, well, you may need to GM for your characters a little bit more actively in the novel that you're writing. That being, introduce complications, gesture towards future danger, like bring up their backstory, or like, push or pull at them in a way that they personally care about, and that kind of stuff. So yes, writing books, basically GMing for yourself. I have this little bit of hair that has gotten loose. So we got the playbooks. We looked at mystery. Let's see, this rules. This is like the basic moves. All right, let's take a little bit of a look at basic moves, and then maybe like how to do a mystery. So as a Kickstarter backer, I have access to a larger document than this, but this thing, the Roll20 thing, is the thing that's free, and so I don't want to show off a document that I paid for when there is a free thing that can cover most of what I want to talk about, because I would rather people who are interested take a look at whether they can become a backer or maybe buy the book later on, rather than just sharing a thing that that I already paid for in this kind of a situation, especially for something that's new and forthcoming. Just checking. All right, I have a message on Discord, but I don't know what it is, so I'm just going to leave it. So those are, okay. So this is core rules, not the core moves. So that's moves. I guess the moves are on the character sheets. So here's a really important thing. In Apocalypse World and in basically every other Powered by the Apocalypse game that I've seen, the result ranges are 7 and below is a failure, or sorry, below 7 is a failure. 7 through 9 is a mixed success, and 10 plus is a unmitigated success, total success, strong hit. They talk about it as 10 plus strong hit, 7 to 9 weak hit, 6 minus is a miss. In Apocalypse World, or in Apocalypse Keys, an 8 to 10 means the Omen has used their powers with precision and control, achieving what they want without being overcome by the darkness. The Keeper is encouraged to offer a narrative opportunity or a mechanical benefit. A Harbinger might reveal a flaw, or an Omen gains a bond. This is called a perfect hit. So 8 to 10 takes the place of 10 plus. So you want to hit between 8 and 10. You don't want to go over 10, and we'll get to that in just a moment. A 7 minus means that the Omen fell short, or fate intervened somehow. And so we'll notice that 8, 9, 10 is that band here. 7, instead of being a mixed success, is a failure. So the whole range is moved up a bit. And we don't get mixed success in the 7 to 9 range. Instead, at 11 plus means that the Omen went too far, overextending themselves or losing control of their power. So the worry when you are an Omen class monster is less, will I get a successful complications because I didn't roll high enough? The worry is more, am I creating danger because of excess? Am I too much? Too powerful, too loud, too other, so on. And that really, I think, is a great mechanical manifestation or expression of the material that Rae and the team that he's assembled for this game are going for, where being too much monstrousness is associated with excess, too much, losing control. So 11 plus, the Omen usually gets what they want, but there's a complication, cost, or consequence of some kind. The Keeper can offer a choice, one that will help the player highlight the values, priorities, or hopes of the Omen. This is called a disastrous success. So we have a perfect hit, a miss, and a disastrous success. In PbtA, we have no and is the failure. No, you didn't get what you want, and a bad thing happens. Yes, but is the mixed success. 7 to 9, you get what you wanted, but a thing happens. And then a 10 plus is yes or yes and. Yes, you get what you want, or yes, you get what you want and something else. Apocalypse Keys instead has 7 and below is no and. You don't get what you want and something goes bad. An 8 to 10 is yes. And 11 plus is yes, but. And so those are the trinary result state range, and how they relate to one another is shifted, and that's very cool. So we return to README. What else do we want to do? Let's look at the Keeper moves. So this is the GM section, effectively. Come on, diagonal. Great. So Keeper moves. To bring the principles to life and help guide the story forward in interesting ways, you have your Keeper moves. Reveal a sinister sign of things to come. Hint at off-screen horrors. Cut away to a harbinger's plans. Introduce an enigmatic character. Deepen a relationship. Inflict a condition. Impose ruin. Tick the doomsday clock. Complicate a theory. Separate the monsters. Endanger the monsters. Say what the darkness demands of you. This is a move. What the darkness demands of you. Introduce a hard choice. Intervene through a faction. Y'all know I love factions. So Keeper moves the tools of the Keeper. While the principles help you keep in mind the general atmosphere and central themes, the Keeper moves are used from moment to moment. The Keeper reacts with a move to an Omen suffering from a disastrous success or a miss, but especially when an Omen rolls a miss. A Keeper move can also be used when a story has lost some of its momentum and when the players look to you for what happens, to find out what happens next. So in other PbtA games, the designers will talk about soft moves and hard moves. I don't know that this distinction is being made. Yeah. Ditto D. Yellowflower. The thematic mechanical alignment on that is beautiful. So if you use introduce an enigmatic character, instead of saying, I'll introduce an enigmatic character now, you say something like, you spot his long tattered cloak first, before you hear the sound of something wet and slithering underneath the rotting fabric. The softest whisper comes through what sounds like many teeth, but it's hard to make out his features. A worm-like appendage lands on an open book, and you watch the words beneath the shivering skin. The softest whisper reaches your ears, and the gentle sound of consumption. Hello, fellow interlopers. Care for a bite to eat? Or perhaps you seek something else from the library, Is this Dark Souls? Can I have a creepy little guy who laughs at the end of every line? Apocalypse Keys is a Dark Souls. I feel like excess is a thing in Dark Souls. Is this the thing that I'm gonna make? Am I gonna make Apocalypse Keys It's a Dark Souls? Urban Dark Souls? I love that now that I've gotten into Dark Souls, one of my mic moves as a designer move is, what if it was a Dark Souls? That's an Oreo. Hello, Oreo. Do you need to go into the world? Bless you. He sneezed. It is just after 3. It's not quite time for a break for me, but Oreo's demands may become too great, too monstrous to ignore. So if I need to take him downstairs or take him out, I will let you all know. But hopefully we can continue. I would imagine that I'll want to take a break here in the next half hour or so if I'm going to go all the way to 5. But I may have to cut this a little short in order to attend to his royal dogness and his monstrous needs. Is this Dark Souls? Y'all know the meme is the butterfly guy meme. Is this a blank? Butterfly guy, right? Just a second, I'm making a meme. So text number 2 is all right, just a second. I'm going to, where do I download this? Go to image page. Save image. So sorry, I went back and it didn't keep what I had. So no. Okay. So now I have this address, which I'm going to put into chat. Right? Copy, no paste. Cannot has paste. All right. That should now link you to, is this a Dark Souls? So this is butterfly guy meme. Is this a Dark Souls? Butterfly is something new. And then the text reads every fucking time. I also have the version that is, I guess I can just add an image here. I know Oreo is very unhappy, or he's becoming impatient, so we may have to end soon. So I think I'm gonna go out on this bit. Right, so here we go. Is this a Dark Souls? So I leave you with this question. Is Apocalypse Keys a Dark Souls? And the answer, I think, is if it's not, it will be soon, because I'm going to make a Dark Souls. Maybe. I guess the easiest thing to do would be make a monster who is like the chosen undead. That's probably the simplest thing that I could do. I'm sure that I could do something much more involved, but I have other projects that maybe should take precedence. So I'm just going to leave you with this meme, and then I'm going to see if there's someone that we should raid.
Awaken says he's saying it can be as...
Let's mute that. Who else is around? Okay. I think we will just wrap up. Thank you so much to everybody who's come by to hang out. I wish that we could go more, but I think Oreo is understandably demanding of outside time. His late afternoon walk has been shifting toward a mid-afternoon walk, which is becoming slightly more tolerable as we move toward fall. But I am still a Midwestern child who is not great at excessive heat and humidity, even though I grew up in a fair amount of heat and humidity, but I was an inside kid. So I may be melted soon. I will apply sunscreen, and then I will go out with the dog, and then I will melt, and I will reform, hopefully stronger than before. If you have not, please go ahead and check out the Kickstarter for Apocalypse Keys to see if that's a game that you would like to add to your library, and see if you want to become a backer. You can get a PDF version, you can get a Roll20 version, you can get a hardcover version, you can get a code for the print-on-demand paperback version. There's like a super fancy edition that you can get and stuff like that. And they are still, very early in the campaign and racking up stretch goals. So that is that. If you liked this type of a stream, please tell people about it, and please come to other streams and or go to my Patreon. I should just use my Patreon command. And comment on this week's schedule post. Hey, I really liked that Apocalypse Keys stream that you did, because that will tell me that I should do more, like, let's look at games and talk about game design kinds of streams, which I think would be cool. Hey, look, I filibustered just long enough so that we can go and raid Mighty Mer. So we're going to go do that. The text for that is... Team Turbo is here, and I need to expand this so that I can get my emote. If you also want to use Pot Boys, then I would encourage you to do that, because Pot Boys are love, but this is going to be the official raid message. So yeah, thank you again to D Yellowflower for the follow and for hanging out. Thanks to The Kids Are Asleep, The Rising Tides, Arvin Elleron, and everybody else who was here hanging out while I did this read-through stream. And now we will go do raiding, and I will see you all later.